We all live based on a certain algorithm of life. In the algorithm of life, we're constantly thrown things towards us that can affect the trajectory of our lives for the better or for the worse. You see people using this algorithm to create huge companies like Nvidia, Tesla, SpaceX, things that revolutionize humanity, things that are a GDP productive mechanism, giving hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people, jobs, homes, places to live, food on the table, clothes on their back, regardless whether you hate them or love them. They are people that have changed the world for the better. They have provided jobs. They provided food on the table for people and their families. You cannot hate the hustle, right? And with that same algorithm, there are countless failures. There are countless drug addicts, people who have tried and have never made anything with themselves. People who are just a wannabe dreamers. People who are still stuck in a dream that they first dreamed about 30 years ago. There are all types of people in this life, in this algorithm of life, right? In order for you to achieve the things that you want to achieve inner excellence, to be able to think and process things as you want them to, and not let the algorithm throw you things and sway you off your path and fall down and get hurt and continuously repeat the same mistakes over and over again for years and decades, and which eventually you just end up wasting your life. You have to practice the art of thinking clearly. The art of thinking clearly is imperative for you to be able to master this algorithm, for you to be able to have control over your own thoughts. It is said those with the highest IQ think about their thinking. They think about their thoughts. It are those people who are able to step back and see what it is that their brain is propagating towards them and sit back and reflect like a man sitting and watching a movie while his thoughts are on the screen to see what it is being displayed on the screen, what thoughts are being displayed on the screen, what type of heinous acts your brain is attempting you to partake in. All of these things must be looked at from a third point of view, which signifies supreme intelligence. You need to have this behavior in life to be able to think clearly, right? So in this video, what I'm going to show you guys is biases, cognitive biases that fool pretty much the brain and the way the brain works into falling into these traps, falling into these thoughts. You may think that the brain is the one that's taking you across this pathway in life, but there's lots of things, ladies and gentlemen, like cognitive biases, which I'm about to explain, that actually push you into these lanes without you knowing. And if you're aware of a few of these biases, then you can use them for the rest of your life as a mental toolbox, as a mental toolkit to combat cognitive biases, ill wanted pathways partaken in life, and repeating the same mistakes over and over again for years. With that being said, the number one bias or cognitive bias I have written here is the confirmation bias. Confirmation bias basically means that you're constantly looking for reassuring facts, statements, whatever it is, things that reassure your current POV on something. It limits growth. It puts you in a box where you think that you know everything is correct. So when you're shown new information, when you're shown things that take you out of your box, you refuse it. You continuously only seek for things that prove that your ill investment in that company was correct, that prove that the friends that your parents told you to stop hanging out with because they're drug dealers is not correct. It proves, you try to prove to yourself that eating bad junk food leads to weight loss. You try to take all of the things contradictory to facts to support the ill illusion of life that you live. You try to take all of these things and in life and you try to sway it. You try to bring it into a lane where it only supports you, where it supports your beliefs, where you think that the world is shit, that the world is out to get you, when those people are out to get you, when they don't even know who you are. Your anxiety is a problem, sweetheart, because you think those people at the restaurant over there know you, but clearly they didn't even acknowledge the fact that you just walked in. They don't know that you exist. but somehow your brain continuously tells you that you have this thing called anxiety, that you have these things called people watching you, looking over your back, and all of these things. You constantly look for reassuring evidence that aligns with this thing called confirmation bias. It's time to recognize that your brain is playing tricks on you. Your brain is looking for things that continuously wanted to continue to live this life of a lie that you're living, right? And we have this all the time with pathological liars. Pathological liars do not know that they're lying. They do not know. Let's rephrase that. They know they're lying. Deep down, they know they're lying, but they don't believe in the lie. They think it's okay to lie. They think it's okay that everything that they just said the last 5 minutes was bullshit. They think it's fine. That's what a pathological liar is. They are people who have severely fallen victim to this thing called confirmation bias. Recognize that. Recognize that your own brain is playing tricks on you. Number two, the sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy can be summed up in a project or an investment, just a metaphor for many things in life, a project or investment where you spent time, resources, energy, and you refuse to let it go, even though you know it's time to sell shit, right? You refuse to let go of that project, that friend, that best friend you had for 10 years, but it's always been a bad influence. Deep down, you knew it. Your mom knew it. Your dad knew it. You knew it deep down. But you didn't want to get rid of them. They were your only friend. So you continue to invest into this relationship because you thought that all the years prior, all the fun memories that you had, everything that you invested into this relationship, the gifts that you bought each other, the time you spent together would have been a write-off. You do not want all of these things to go to waste, right? You believe in the investment, the time, and the resources that you put in. So you continue to choose to live a lie. You continue to choose to do the things contrary to your goals, to your beliefs, to the new life that you want to live. That is the sunk cost fallacy. We're unable to let go of these things. You see that investment that you put into that company is crashing, but for some reason you think that by letting your money continuously sit there without pulling out is somehow miraculously going to go back up and it's going to make you a millionaire overnight or next month, or you just want to be proved right because you've already spent the time and resources in order to make the investment, to look into that company, to make the dollars into the company, and now you don't want to exit because you believe you're correct. You believe that your time and resources are correct. But in fact, the sunk cost fallacy prevents you from seeing your flaws, your errors, your ill-fated mistakes in that company, in that investment, only because that you think that the time and resources that you spent into that project or investment is irreplaceable. That is a lie. Understand that. Number three, availability bias. Availability bias basically says you tend to gravitate towards the things that are within your peripheral vision, that is within your parameters of living. What do I mean by this? A child that does not know a casino exists, has no prior gambling habits, has nothing to do with gambling, never heard of it before, learns to grow up and find out that his friends now love gambling. It's now across the street from them where they live, and that's something that they do every Friday night. The proximity, the close proximity that this child or now this teenager has or young adult has to the casino makes it for him to be look at the going and visiting the casino, losing money every week as okay. It's fine because it's nearby, it's available, it's near his proximity. He has quick access to it, right? Same thing you have on your phone. You have Instagram, social media, all of these apps, and you go on your phone for reason A and you end up scrolling 3 hours on TikTok. You go on to text your friend or a simple reply that shouldn't last 35 seconds, and now you spent all your time on Instagram. It's because it's there, it's right in front of your eyes, it's available in front of you. So you fall prone, you fall victim to the traps that these algorithms have set for you. That is what the availability bias does. But hey, if you didn't have an Instagram account, if you didn't have Instagram on your phone, if you didn't have Snapchat, TikTok, all these apps installed on your phone, you'd be less prone to falling for the traps set by these companies for you, set by these social media apps for you. You'd be less prone to falling victim to a victim of gambling, losing your hundreds of thousands of dollars, whatever it is, if you live farther away from the casino, if you made it harder for the path for you from where you live to get to the casino, a hard resisting path, then you wouldn't travel to the casino anymore. The availability bias is very real. Our brains understand this. It doesn't want to do hard things a lot of the time, but it wants to do the easy things. It wants to walk over to the casino and lose money. It wants to open up our social media phone and get all these dopamine hits. It's because it's easy. It's instant access. You know you shouldn't Uber Eats food for $50 when you can walk down to the store and grab it for 20, but you do it anyway because it's the convenience, it's the availability. You have it on your phone. Why not? You have to walk and spend energy expenditure. It's much harder to do than you just going on your phone and clicking an app and click an order. That's what availability bias is. Number 4, self-serving bias. Self-serving bias is very similar to confirmation bias, right? It's similar in the sense that you look for facts, statements, and things that reaffirm your false beliefs, reaffirm your false affirmations. You look for things that only help you live in a false reality of life. You think that everyone's out to get you. As stated before, that's pretty much in the same category as self-serving bias. They're pretty much very similar, right? Very similar biases. The reason why it's here is because it should be understood. It should be acknowledged that the fact that not only confirmation bias is evidence that you see all these things, whatever. Self-serving bias is applying those things to you in to your false statements, your false affirmations, and it helps propagate the false reality that you're living. It helps to insinuate the bad behavior that you know you shouldn't be doing. But you look for things and statements and facts to help you, to help self-serve your negative beliefs, your negative affirmations, things like this. Right? Okay. The last bias I want to talk about, or cognitive bias that I want to talk about, is hyperbolic discounting. Hyperbolic discounting is just a fancy word for compound interest, right? You know that eating healthy food today, tomorrow, the week after, the month after, for the rest of the year will allow you to eventually build a healthier, fresher looking you. But instead, you forego that alternative. You forego that for junk food in the present, in the now. You rather eat that Big Mac now. You rather ruin the diet now. You rather just tarnish all your gains, if you've had any, right now for the pleasure of now. But hyperbolic discounting looks into the future, ladies and gentlemen. It looks at what can be in a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. And this is something that our generation clearly struggles from. When was the last time you heard one of your peers make a 5-year goal? Do they even know where they want to be in 5 years? What about in 2 years? What about in even just a year? Do your friends, family, those around you understand where they want to be in these long-term time frames of life? Because the long term exists, my friends. It is there. It is there for all of us. It's just you've been programmed by the algorithm of life, the social media apps, all of the nonsense and the bullshit, and have been propagated towards having short-term thinking, short-term goals. All of these biases and many, many more are basically for you to have a short-term thinking mindset. That is what all of these biases propagate towards. That is what the current algorithm of life propagates everyone's life towards, a short-term thinker. And these people do not last. They're out as just as fast as they're in, right? The only things, ladies and gentlemen, that are substantial, are a life worth living is through long-term thinking. The total opposite of what the algorithm of life is portraying to you, right? It's only going on 11 dates with him that you understand his character. You understand how he treats the waitress and the waiter there. You understand how he tips. You understand how he treats your parents, how he treats your grandmother, and all these people around you. You only understand over a course of period, over a few months, a year, the person he is. So before you sleep with him, sweetheart, you understand the type of character he is, and understand the fact that you would not let yourself up to an individual of such poor standards, of poor character, of poor inner excellence. All of these people are now living life based on a short-term mentality, and it's there to poison them. It's there to poison their relationships, their financial matters, their gains in whatever it may be, in health, finance, in happiness, in love, in relationships, whatever it may be. People nowadays, our generation is ready to forego any long-term alternative for short-term pleasure, and that must be combated. These biases must be understood. The game is already against you. The algorithm is already against you. Our parents 50, 40 years ago did not have a algorithm so sophisticated to be able to combat them, to be able to mentally disturb them on a daily basis like we do. But we have that. We have that in our lives currently with the internet, with these new technological advances. It's easier than ever to fall susceptible to biases, short-term thinking. That is why you must understand and be aware of the different type of the cognitive biases available, and understand that your brain is playing tricks on you. And step back, watch the cinema of thoughts, watch the cinema of propagated ideals and thinking that your brain propagates towards you, and refuse to partake in it. Show signs of intelligence. Show signs that you are one who has mastered your inner world, mastered inner excellence. That is what we are here on this channel to do. That is what we're doing, mastering inner intelligence. So drop a like,